We are racing ahead towards the Bitcoin halvening with 9 blocks remaining. We'd like to welcome Hannah. How's it going, Hannah? Welcome to the show. Unmute yourself. Say hello.
Hi. How's it going?
It's going good. We've got Hannah from the Bitcoin meetup in Chicago. And, of course, we met in Prague where we talked about Star Trek Voyager, the most religious, or DS9, the most religious of all Star Trek shows.
Indeed it is, yes.
All right. So, Hannah, why don't you tell us how you found Bitcoin and what you thought of it, and maybe just mention the Chicago meetup, too, so we can go to their website.
Okay. I will do that. Hopefully y'all can't hear the children running around upstairs. Yay, quarantine.
Home office. Home office.
Yeah, home office. That's right.
It's all like the good earth, right?
There you go. Yeah. No, I found, how did I find Bitcoin? I found Bitcoin through an obsession with money and monetary theory back in 2011. And utterly dismissed Bitcoin because it was magic internet money and nonsense. But it was magic internet money and nonsense that wouldn't go away. So eventually I sat down and read about it and fell in love with it. And that was 2012. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of various things in crypto ever since, and got involved with the Bob meetup in Chicago, the Bitcoin Open Blockchain meetup, back in January. It started January 2016. Yeah, so that is still going. We just had our virtual halving party last week on Wednesday, which it left me kind of sad that we weren't at a bar, but it was still fun. Yeah.
Yes, it's very sad. I think often of the San Francisco Bitcoin meetup. In another universe, I imagine I probably would have just taken the $100 flight home and celebrated outside in the backyard of the bar where we had all the meetups and where we had the last one and all these other things. But it's funny, normally when I don't go, the party happens anyway. But this time, no, there was no party without me. There was no party at all. So.
Yeah. It's a bummer, but hey, here we all are. So
it is. And it's fun that we have all these tools and we can get together virtually like this. We're keeping an eye on the Bitcoin blocks. Currently, there are just 9 blocks remaining before the third Bitcoin halvening. It was scheduled for around noon, but it's creeping closer and closer. Remember, 6 blocks is normally about an hour, but this is not a normal day. Looks like we have another guest. We're going to keep streamlining in the guests, and then eventually we're going to open this up to all guests. So anyone in the audience can join us. Tell us a little bit about how they found Bitcoin. Tell us how they feel about the halving, or just give a shout out to Bitcoin. Say, hey, you're doing a great job, Bitcoin. I like to see you cutting in half like this every 4 years. It's exciting.
Chopping it. Oh, we got Max Hillebrand in the house.
All right, Max Hillebrand, how's it going? Can we hear you?
Max.
He's far off in the distance.
Far in the distance. And he's approaching. Max is approaching.
His bandwidth has been halved. I've got to quickly jump. I'll be back.
All right. Thanks so much, Josh, for joining us. Come on back later.
Ciao.
I need to go as well. I've been making my wife wait for 20 minutes for dinner.
Oh, well, thanks so much, Traven, for joining us. Happy halvening.
Happy halvening. Yeah, I'll try to be back later, so I'll see you guys soon.
All right, I'll catch you soon.
Take care, Traven.
All right.
Yeah, so my story is similar. I think, well, what you know about mine, Tom. It was, again, friend, Silk Road, XS, told me about Bitcoin. Heard that I had this fascination of just buying graphics cards and running 3D Mark and then not playing any games because I was too busy. And because I love graphics cards, and then found you can print money, I pointed my twin, I can't remember, GTX 680s or something at Bitcoin. It really didn't, it cause any dent at all in terms of hash power. So I went from like a little amp minus stick and then block erupt to cubes and more advanced from then on, until stopping Bitcoin mining in 2014. But yeah, my second Bitcoin was from Verwox. So the whole Linden dollars, euros to Linden dollars, or well, GBP to euros to Linden dollars to Bitcoin.
Well, tell people what the Linden dollars were first.
Oh, they were Second Life, Second Life money, wasn't it?
And I think this is
Yep.
especially funny now because I remember trying Second Life years ago, and I remember even giving a Bitcoin speech in Second Life. If you go to like Mad Bitcoins in Second Life, it's out there somewhere. And it seems a lot like VR to me. You had avatars, you walked around, they had speeches, they had little rooms. I know everyone's really excited about VR these days, but to me, it just seems like a rewind of Second Life.
Yeah, I think it is. And I'll tell you the story of how I got my first Bitcoin. Is I did some customer service work for a friend that has a VPN service. And I got paid in Liberty Reserve. Does anyone remember that one?
Yeah,
That's classic. That's another one
Yes.
that made me doubt Bitcoin when it came out. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, e-money,
Yeah,
e-gold,
that
Liberty Reserve.
experiment went well.
I've seen
But,
this thing before. Yeah. You know what this is?
Yeah. And then I found some very dodgy website somewhere that converted Liberty Reserve into Bitcoin for me, and it actually worked. They sent me my Bitcoin.
That's the best. I can't believe Dan's where he actually converts into Linden dollars. It's such a internet-y story because people barely even know that they had their own currency. It's just another thing where I think it was mostly locked to their website. Did you have to log into Second Life or use an avatar or anything, Dan?
No, it was literally just on Verwox, the exchange. But the problem is it made it even harder explaining it to someone, because when they're like, yeah, so you're telling me you had to use Minnie Mouse dollars to buy your Mickey Mouse dollars. Like, well, yeah. So
too good. Nice. Well,
look
let's
who's
see.
laughing now. Not me, because I sold mine. They probably bought it at the right time and then still holding it.
Oh, I know. We all could have gotten in earlier and all those things, and there was always online money. It just depended if you had access. Like you're saying, Dan, a lot of people needed to use the Silk Road. That was their only option. A lot of other people never needed to use the Silk Road, so never needed to even bother with that. Oh, we've got a new guest. Hello to Marc. How's it going, Marc? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Marc.
Hey, guys. Good to see you. Exciting night. Thanks for having me here and for a great stream, guys.
Thanks so much, Marc. And maybe just tell us where you're from and how you got into Bitcoin. We'll just give you the floor here, just a little story.
Nice. So I'm from Israel, and I got into Bitcoin in 2013. Read an article, didn't understand it, started Googling, kind of went down the rabbit hole. And Josh Gagal, actually, just went off your stream, was one of the first people I met in Bitcoin, and he helped teach me back in 2013. I'm friends with a few of you guys, so always good to see you, and Hannah, nice to meet you. And basically since then, I've been writing and talking at events and just kind of generally obsessed with the technology,
It's amazing, isn't it? Like all these different people, different kind of backgrounds and different things, they all come to Bitcoin and then they get excited and just on their own without really being rewarded. Like you probably weren't paid to write your first article. You probably weren't paid to make your first website about Bitcoin. Everyone just does it on their own because they're excited about Bitcoin.
100%. I think for me, one of the most amazing things about Bitcoin is it really is a microcosm for so many things. Like you come trying to learn about one thing and you end up like learning about life or the world, and I'm not saying anything as esoteric as DeSantis and Bitcoin money time and kind of, metaphysical, but it really, it's cliched, but Bitcoin's made me a better person, it's really made me think,
It does slowly change your habits. I remember at first we talk about how saving is more rewarded for Bitcoin, but whereas in the past you might not get more money from your savings account or your investments might go down. But Bitcoin's been very rewarding to save that way. And then saving expands to a general frugality where you're like, I don't want to spend money on that because then I'd have less Bitcoin and I don't have that. And then it's kind of like slides down from there. But it really does affect your values, I think.
Yeah, Bitcoin made me realize the value behind the real value behind the numbers, especially when you find out about, you know, fractional reserve lending and, you know, the inflated dollar, but just the value behind anything, and realizing, you know, I now equate stuff to like hours that I could be working doing stuff, and then I weigh up the stress that would be involved with doing X or Y, and you know the whole bit comes into that every sort of value add is taken into account rather than just money that's being spent now, because small things extra can go a long way. And if your time and, you know, is worth a lot to you and stress, then, you know, think about money not just from a dollar, but from what else you could gain from it tweaking things.
100%. Like it's the ultimate time, you know, high versus low time preference, but not just with money, you know. Like you start to understand that things are worth things inherently. One of the most interesting discussions over the years has been, you know, what is the inherent value of a Bitcoin, right? Like, is it a function of energy put in? Is it a function of, you know, like a price on the open market? Or does it have an inherent value underneath everything, you know? And I think it really forces you to take a step back and ask tough questions, you know? What is it that helps us assign value to things? Difference between price and value and utility. You know, there's all these crazy economic terms I would never have heard about if I hadn't been involved in Bitcoin, you know? Plus, if I can just say, like, one of the best parts about Bitcoin for me has been meeting people. Like, I've never worked in a community where people are so, you know, generous with their time, where people actually care about something real. You know, the people in Bitcoin are generally nice people, and that's not true of every industry.
No, and I like to say, like my favorite room to be in is a Bitcoin meetup. I remember one of the first Bitcoin meetup I went to was just like this, 5 people in some back room in someone's office, and you know, 2 of those people were totally crazy, and the other 3 are still some of my best friends. Yeah, you just you meet some of the craziest but coolest people ever. Yeah.
I wonder what they said. Someone else in the room said, you know, 3 other people were crazy and 2 are still my best friends, right? But yeah, nice. No, 100%.